On Friday, Peter Obi closed his case at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, which means that Peter Obi and Labour Party are done presenting their own side of the case. Now it's time for the side of the respondents, which means it's now the time of INEC, the APC, Tinubu and Shettima to present their defense to the courts. The tribunal has been adjourned to the 3rd of July, which gives them 1 week to prepare their defense. This is where things are going to get even more interesting, because now it is INEC's turn to defend the election that they conducted, and now it's Labour Party and Peter Obi's turn to cross-examine. Which means now INEC has to give reasons why all these boxes of evidence don't matter. They have to give reasons why they scrapped the requirement for the president to win 25% in the Federal Capital Territory. And even more importantly, they are going to have to explain what happened to the electronic transmission of results that they promised. You know, the one that made us interested in this election in the first place. And from the way they've been interrogating Labour Party witnesses, I think that they are leaning more towards the technical glitch defense, which means they might try to claim that there was a technical glitch on the day of the election that could not allow them to transmit results electronically. So they just had to scrap it on the day and go ahead with the manual collection, like saying that they had no choice to move on with the election and ignore their own guidelines. Or they may go ahead and claim that they never made those guidelines, or they made those guidelines and scrapped those guidelines along the way. I wouldn't know. Me, I'm looking forward to seeing how they will explain where the technical glitches came from, especially when a Labour Party witness from Amazon came and said there was no technical glitch on that day. Of course, Amazon being the ones that provided the server to INEC on the day of the election. Tinubu is going to have to defend his drug-related forfeiture case in the United States and why all his school certificates are so questionable. Shettima is going to have to defend why, as a vice presidential candidate, he was holding a double nomination, also as a senatorial candidate. There is so much to defend, but defend they must. Obi King to ease no eye, coming out with the music to ease your mind. Hi guys, it's Obi King once again in the house with another video for you guys. It's been a very interesting presidential election petition tribunal so far. A major highlight from this past week was that a lot of people, especially in the online community, started having more doubts as to the independence of the tribunal judges. What happened was that last week was the deadline for Peter Obi and Labour Party to submit the evidence and submit their documentation, but they were finding it hard to get the certified true copies from INEC. So in court, they made allegations that INEC was deliberately trying to frustrate the process. Like INEC didn't want to give them the documents they needed to make their case, which of course is their right. So they complained even in the middle of the court proceedings that INEC is not giving them the documents, INEC is not responding to subpoenas that the court sent them, and even the documents they are receiving it late, like deliberately INEC is sending them documents late. And this caused a lot of heated arguments in the court between the Labour Party lawyers and INEC lawyers. But instead of the judges to kind of reprimand INEC for not bringing out these documents early enough, it started to seem like they were kind of siding with INEC, because they were kind of like pleading with Peter Obi's lawyers not to make such allegations, telling them that, okay, they need to calm down and cooperate with the INEC lawyers. For example, Justice Ada, who is one of the justices of the tribunal, she said, "We have stated that we should act with cooperation today, and this is not cooperation. Let's cooperate." Justice Samani, who was trending a whole lot on Twitter, because people really didn't like what he said. He said, "This is our farm. We cannot afford to set fire on our own farm for our own interests. And we shouldn't be playing to the gallery. It will not help us." I don't know, I think it's kind of funny that I was comparing the courtroom to the farm. Justice Bolaji said, "We should not get to blackmail or play to the gallery. Don't go out there and say INEC is not giving you documents. Don't play to the gallery. Don't. Let's work with cooperation." He then went on to say that the INEC lawyers and the other members of the inner bar have the interest of the country at heart. This is an important case. We are all Nigerians. So why this suspicion started to arise against these justices? Because it started to look like they were downplaying the concerns of the Labour Party lawyers, of Peter Obi's lawyers, telling them, oh, just calm down. Don't make it too loud. Let's just find a way within ourselves, to just settle this. For me, that was definitely a very red flag, from the judges. And sometimes I wonder why Peter Obi trusts in the judiciary so much. But then I remember that before he got his mandate as governor of Anambra State, that he went through a similar ordeal, like he was in court for 3 years. And when he finally got his mandate, it was during a time where they didn't even have technology. Like they didn't have all this BVAS and IREF thing. He was still able to get his mandate back, then where it was just predominantly pen and paper. So I can understand where some of his optimism comes from. Like he's a beneficiary of judiciary. He always says it. And also this time around, the evidence is so much that he spent a majority of his case, or his lawyer spent a majority just presenting evidence. So I can understand why he's not as worried as some of us as to whether the court is actually going to be fair. Another very interesting happening on Friday was that there was renewed interest in the case of Atiku and the PDP this time around, because they closed their case with a bang. For a majority of the tribunal, there wasn't really that much attention in Atiku's case, even from members of the PDP, which I found was very telling. But just before closing their own case as well on Friday, they decided to end by dropping a lot of very damning documentary evidence against Tinubu. According to this article, the documents included a BSc certificate from Chicago State University, an NYSC discharge certificate, and a Mobile Nigeria Oil PLC certificate of service, where Tinubu claims to have worked. It also says the PDP had brought the documents through their subpoenaed witness, who is a private legal practitioner, and he noted that the documents were purportedly obtained by Tinubu but bore the name Bola Adekunle Tinubu. The article also says the witness also tendered academic records from Chicago University, a copy of the subpoena served on the Chicago University, the original academic records and degree certificates, original admission letter, original transcript from Southwest College to the school Tinubu attended, given to Chicago University with the gender referred to as female. He also tendered a notarized judgment of USA for criminal forfeiture of assets of Tinubu and the cover note authorizing it. Furthermore, extracts of a Guinea passport and the certificate of compliance for Tinubu were also presented. And one very funny part of this witness's testimony was that he admitted that he was a Peter Obi supporter. Of course, for some of us, a lot of the documents that this witness submitted were not a surprise, mostly because of a lot of the reporting that was already done by David Hundeyin. But personally, I didn't actually believe that these documents will make their way into the court. So for them to do that now, it actually opens the floodgates for the media to talk about it, because the mainstream media at the point of the campaigns, they didn't talk about these things. And this just increases the interest factor for this already interesting election tribunal, because from that July 3rd, the APC and Tinubu lawyers are going to have to start explaining all these inconsistencies in his documentation. It's going to be a long and very interesting defense. And like I always said, I believe that the revelations from the tribunal will be more interesting than the ruling itself. So those are my thoughts and facts gathered on the election tribunal so far. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Is there anything about this case that you found particularly interesting? Is there anything that I missed in my presentation that you want to share with others? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching and engaging. Once again, my name is Obi King, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I can assure you that we are ready for their defense. Very, very ready for them to open their case on the 3rd of July. And we'll take it up from there.